I-35F, never thought I'd be writing this post. 10 years as a CPA, a failed marriage, and a complete career change have led me to discover something that would forever change my relationship with my family, especially with my older sister Sophia, 40F. Let me start from the beginning, because you need the full context to understand how we got here. For the past decade, I lived what everyone else would call a sensible life. I graduated with an accounting degree, married my college sweetheart, and landed a job at a prestigious accounting firm. I was following the script that my parents, 65F, 67M, had written for their daughters. Sophia had already set the bar high. She married Brian, 42M, had 2 kids, and climbed the corporate ladder to become a senior manager. But beneath my successfully exterior, I was suffocating. Every spreadsheet, every tax return, every client meeting felt like another nail in the coffin of my dreams. Since childhood, I'd been passionate about animation. I'd spend hours creating characters in my sketchbooks, imagining their stories, bringing them to life through crude flipbooks. My parents always dismissed it as a cute hobby, something to grow out of. The breaking point came during tax season last year. I was working late, again, when my now ex-husband called to tell me he wouldn't be coming home, ever. He'd found someone else, someone who made time for their relationship. The divorce was quick but painful, not because I still loved him, but because it forced me to confront how much of my life I'd spent trying to meet other people's expectations. That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I'd saved enough money over the years to afford a career change. I researched animation schools, bought the best equipment I could find, and started learning everything I could about digital animation and content creation. When I told my family about my plans, you'd think I'd announced I was joining a cult. Mom nearly dropped her casserole dish during Sunday dinner. "You're what?" she screeched. "Throwing away a perfectly good career to play with cartoons?" Dad just sat there, fork frozen halfway to his mouth, while Sophia exchanged knowing looks with Brian. "It's not just cartoons," I tried to explain. "The animation industry is booming. There are so many opportunities with streaming services, YouTube, indie games." But they weren't listening. They'd already decided I was having a post-divorce breakdown. The first 6 months were brutal. I was learning 3D animation software from scratch, and my early attempts were, well, let's just say the comment section wasn't kind. "Maybe this isn't your thing," Sophia would say during family dinners, scrolling through my latest videos' comments with this smirk that made my blood boil. "There's always bookkeeping. But here's the thing about me, I'm stubborn." Instead of giving up, I threw myself into improving. 16-hour days became normal. I studied successful channels, took online masterclasses, joined animation communities. I completely revamped my animation style, focusing on character-driven short stories that resonated with viewers. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. I created a short animation about a little girl trying to please her family by becoming something she wasn't. It was personal, raw, and apparently, relatable. The video went viral overnight. Suddenly, my subscriber count wasn't just growing, it was exploding. That's when everything started to change. Sponsorship offers flooded my inbox. Animation studios reached out for collaborations. Merchandise companies wanted to create products featuring my characters. Within months, I was making more in a week than I used to make in a month as a CPA. The family's attitude shift was almost comical. Mom stopped referring to my work as playing with cartoons and started bragging to her friends about her entrepreneur daughter. Dad began showing genuine interest in my videos, though I suspect he still didn't quite understand what I did. But the biggest change was in Sophia. Remember how she used to mock my channel? Well, life has a funny way of flipping the script. Brian's company went through a restructuring, and he was demoted. Suddenly, their perfect life wasn't so perfect anymore. Their mortgage payments became a struggle, and private school for the kids seemed less certain. That's when the requests started coming in. At first, they were subtle. Mom would mention how the washing machine was making strange noises. Dad would casually bring up the rising property taxes. Sophia would talk about her kids' growing expenses during our weekly calls. I started helping out. Why wouldn't I? I was making more money than I knew what to do with. I covered their utilities, paid for house repairs, even took over Sophia's rent payments when things got tight. Every time I wrote a check, Mom would hug me and tell me how proud she was, how she'd always believed in me. Yes, I see the irony now. The money requests became more frequent and less subtle. New appliances, car repairs, school supplies, medical bills, I handled it all. Part of me felt good about being able to help, about finally being the successful daughter. Another part felt something was off about how quickly they'd gone from mocking my choices to depending on them. Then came their 35th wedding anniversary. I wanted to do something special, something to show them that their cartoon drawing daughter had really made it. I went all out, catered food from their favorite restaurant, new outfits for both of them, and the piece de resistance, a brand new luxury SUV with a big red bow in the driveway. You should have seen their faces when they opened the small box containing the car keys. Mom burst into tears, hugging me while whispering how proud she was. Dad got misty-eyed, something I'd never seen before. Even Sophia seemed genuinely happy, though there was something in her expression I couldn't quite read. That happiness lasted exactly 2 weeks. That's when everything fell apart. I was at their house one Saturday morning, 2 weeks after the anniversary party. Mom and Dad had gone shopping in their new car, excited to take it for a spin. I stayed behind, offering to help organize the mountain of old photos and documents that had been piling up in Dad's office for years. It was like a trip down memory lane at first: report cards from elementary school, Sophia's college acceptance letters, old family vacation photos. There were even some of my early animation attempts, crude stick figures with wildly disproportionate heads that made me smile despite myself. That's when I noticed something that didn't belong. Among the yellowed papers and worn photo albums was a crisp manila envelope. It stood out like a sore thumb, new, official-looking, with sharp edges and uncreased corners. The type of envelope that typically contains legal documents. I shouldn't have opened it. Part of me wishes I hadn't. But I did, and what I found inside changed everything. It was a legal document dated just days after the anniversary party. Last will and testament, read the heading in bold, formal letters. My hands started shaking as I read through the legal jargon. The document was thorough, detailed, and completely clear. All assets and property were to be transferred to our daughter Sophia. My name wasn't mentioned once. Not a single time. Everything, the house I'd been helping pay for, the utilities I covered, the car I'd just given them, all of it was going to Sophia. The paper trembled in my hands as the implications sank in. It wasn't about the money, God knows I had enough of my own. It was what it meant. Every smile, every hug, every "we're so proud of you," had it all been calculated? Just a way to keep the checks coming? Time seemed to stop until I heard it, the sound of car doors slamming, followed by voices and footsteps approaching the house. The front door opened, and I heard Mom laughing about something from their shopping trip. "Honey, we're back," she called out cheerfully. "Where are you?" I stood up slowly, still holding the envelope, and walked to the living room. They were carrying shopping bags, both smiling and chatting about their trip, until they saw me. Until they saw what I was holding. The bags dropped to the floor with a thud. Mom's face went white as paper. Dad looked like he'd seen a ghost. "Would someone like to explain this?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady despite the storm raging inside me. I held up the envelope, watching their faces. Mom recovered first, though her voice quivered. "Well, we were going to tell you." "When?" I asked. "Before or after you signed everything over to Sophia?" Dad stepped forward, trying to play peacemaker as usual. "Now honey, it's not what you think." "Really?" I cut him off. "Because it looks pretty clear to me." That's when Mom's whole demeanor changed. Her face hardened, and she went on the attack, a tactic I remembered well from childhood. "How dare you go through our private papers," she shouted, her voice rising to that shrill pitch that used to make me flinch. "Who do you think you are, snooping through your father's office?" I let out a laugh that sounded hollow even to my own ears. "Private papers? In the house whose mortgage I'm paying. The house whose utilities I cover every month. Those private papers? Dad cleared his throat uncomfortably. Listen, you're already successful. You have your own money, your own apartment. Sophia, she needs this more than you do. I stared at him, unable to believe what I was hearing. That's not the point, Dad. If you wanted to leave everything to Sophia, fine. But you could have talked to me about it. Instead, you went behind my back right after I gave you a car, right after telling me how proud you were of me. We don't have to explain ourselves to you. Mom burst out, face reddening. We're your parents. We can do what we want with our property. Your property? I repeated slowly, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. The property I've been maintaining? The bills I've been paying? That property? Give me that envelope, Mom demanded, holding out her hand. And I think you should leave. Don't come back until you learn some respect. I stood there for a moment, looking at these people who I thought I knew. My mother, red-faced and angry. My father, unable to meet my eyes. The same people who'd hugged me and cried tears of joy just 2 weeks ago when I gave them the car. The same people who'd been accepting my money for months while secretly planning to leave everything to Sophia. I placed the envelope carefully on the coffee table, the sound of paper meeting would eerily loud in the tense silence. Keep it, I said quietly. Keep all of it. I walked out without another word, the sound of Mom starting to say something cut off by the closing door. I got in my car and drove home to my apartment, my hand steady on the wheel despite the trembling in my chest. I was just stepping out of a hot shower, trying to process everything that had happened, when my phone lit up with Sophia's name. I almost didn't answer it, but something made me hit the green button. How dare you, she screamed before I could even say hello. How dare you try to steal my inheritance? You're already rich. Why do you need Mom and Dad's help too? God, you're so greedy. I don't want the house, I said, struggling to keep my voice level. I just. Liar, she shrieked. You've always been jealous of me. Well, guess what? Mom and Dad know what's best, and they chose me. Sophia, I said, a slightly hysterical laugh bubbling up, I'm literally paying your rent right now. Oh, here we go, she screamed. Always throwing your money in everyone's face. That's all you care about, isn't it? Money, money, money. I felt another laugh coming, this one definitely more hysterical than the last. I care about money? Me? That's rich coming from the sister who lives in an apartment I pay for. I hung up. Just hit the red button mid-rant and tossed my phone onto the couch. Then I walked to my window and looked out at the city lights, letting the quiet of my apartment wash over me. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to take deep breaths. In. Out. In. Out. Everything that happened next would change our family forever, but that's a story for another update. Update 1, it's been a month since I discovered the will and walked out of my parents' house. A lot has happened, and I need to share how things have unfolded. First, I contacted my lawyer to review all the financial arrangements I'd made with my family. Turns out, having everything documented worked in my favor. The luxury SUV? Still in my name. The house repairs and renovations? All contracts under my signature. The monthly utility payments? All traceable to my accounts. I instructed my lawyer to send formal notices terminating all financial support. The timing couldn't have been worse for them, or better, depending on how you look at it. Sophia and Brian had just signed up their kids for expensive summer camps, confident that Aunt's YouTube money would cover it. The first signs of trouble hit when their utility services started getting cut off, one by one. Mom called me in a panic when their electricity was shut down. How could you do this to your own family, she demanded. I remained silent on the phone, letting her words wash over me. Finally, I just said, family doesn't go behind family's backs, Mom. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Then came the car repo. I had my lawyer arrange it for early morning, just when the neighbors would be leaving for work. Mom called me screaming about how humiliating it was to have the luxury SUV towed away in front of everyone. "You're punishing us for being honest about our will," she yelled. I replied calmly, "No, I'm taking back what's legally mine. You can't have it both ways, either I'm family, or I'm just a walking ATM. You chose the latter." The real drama started when Sophia's landlord served them with an eviction notice. She'd been late on rent for 3 months, the exact months I'd stopped paying. Brian's reduced salary couldn't cover their lifestyle, and they had to downsize to a small apartment in a less desirable area. That's when Mom took to Facebook. Her post was a masterpiece of selective truth. "Never thought my own daughter would abandon her family in their time of need. After everything we've done for her, she's turning her back on us. A child's duty is to help their parents, but some children only think of themselves." The comments section exploded, but not in the way she expected. Our cousin Jennifer chimed in, "Isn't this the daughter who's been paying all your bills?" My Aunt Mary added, "The same one who bought you a luxury car for your anniversary? Then my Uncle Steve, and paid for your Hawaii vacation?" The family drama went viral in our extended family circle. Relatives started sharing stories about how my parents had been bragging about their successful YouTube daughter, while secretly planning to cut me out of their will. The narrative quickly shifted from ungrateful daughter to manipulative parents. Sophia tried to defend them, posting a long rant about how I was jealous of her real career and stable family life. The irony wasn't lost on our relatives, who knew she was living off my support. My cousin Thomas commented, "Stable family life funded by your sister's fake career, right?" The most surprising support came from Brian's family. His sister reached out to me privately, sharing how Sophia had been pressuring Brian to ask his parents to remortgage their house to help maintain their lifestyle. "They've been living beyond their means for years," she wrote, "using your success as a safety net." Last week, I received a letter from Mom and Dad's church group. Apparently, they'd been soliciting donations, claiming they were struggling because their wealthy daughter cruelly cut them off. When the truth came out about the will and their manipulation, several church members expressed their disappointment in them. The family's reputation in our community has taken a significant hit. It turns out people don't look kindly on parents who exploit their child's success while secretly planning to disinherit them. Mom's bridge club has mysteriously stopped inviting her. Dad's golf buddies suddenly have full foursomes. Through all this, I've maintained my silence, letting their own actions speak for themselves. I'm focusing on my work, my company is growing, and I'm finally living without the constant drain of supporting people who saw me as nothing more than a convenient source of money. There's more to come, particularly about how things escalated from here, but that's for the next update. Update 2:3 months have passed since my last update, and the situation has evolved in ways I never expected. Let me share what's been happening. Remember how my parents always bragged about their house being mortgage-free? Turns out that wasn't exactly true. They'd taken out a second mortgage to help Sophia buy her previous house, the one they had to sell when Brian got demoted. The bank sent them a notice of default last week. Apparently, they'd been counting on my continued support to make the payments. Sophia's situation has gotten worse. Her older kid had to transfer from private school to public school, and she's not handling the change well. She tried to guilt-trip our wealthy cousin into lending her the tuition money, claiming her kids were being punished for adult problems. Our cousin instead offered to pay for family therapy, an offer Sophia angrily rejected. The most interesting development came from Brian's side. He finally stood up to Sophia and insisted they live within their means. "Your sister's success made you lose touch with reality," he told her during a heated argument that his mother later shared with me. They're now in marriage counseling, trying to deal with the financial stress that my abandonment supposedly caused. On my end, things have been transforming in unexpected ways. My animation studio has expanded. I've hired talented artists who shared my vision, and we're now working on a series that's caught the attention of major streaming platforms. The irony? One of our most popular characters is inspired by a controlling mother who manipulates her children with guilt, something my viewers find surprisingly relatable. My success has attracted attention from unexpected places. A documentary filmmaker reached out, wanting to tell my story, not just about the animation success, but about financial abuse in families. I declined, but it made me realize how common this situation is. Last week, I received a letter from my old high school art teacher. She'd seen my parents' social media posts and reached out to share something interesting. Apparently, back in senior year, my parents had come to her demanding she discourage my artistic pursuits. They were determined to push you into accounting, she wrote. They said art would never pay the bills. The timing of this revelation feels particularly poetic. The community fallout continues to surprise me. Mom's attempts to play the victim have backfired spectacularly. During a recent charity event, several donors pulled their support after learning that she and Dad had been using the church's assistance program while living in a house with a new gourmet kitchen I'd paid for. Dad tried a different approach. He showed up at my office building last week, telling the security guard he needed to rescue his daughter from her poor decisions. The guard, who's seen me build my company from scratch, politely but firmly turned him away. The incident was caught on security cameras, and Dad's dramatic performance only added to their deteriorating reputation. Sophia's latest strategy has been to spread rumors about my mental stability, suggesting my career change and subsequent actions were signs of a breakdown. This backfired when several of my former accounting colleagues spoke up about how miserable I'd been in that career and how much happier and more successful I am now. I've channeled all this drama into my work. Our studio's latest project is a series about self-discovery and standing up to toxic family dynamics. The pilot episode has already generated significant buzz in the animation community. We're expanding our office space and hiring more artists. Success really is the best revenge. My new life is taking shape in ways I never imagined. I've started mentoring young artists, particularly those from unsupportive families. There's something deeply satisfying about helping others pursue their dreams despite family pressure to be practical. The most unexpected support has come from Brian's parents. They reached out to apologize for initially judging my career change and praised me for standing up for myself. They've even started sharing my studio's content on their social media, much to Sophia's evident frustration. Looking ahead, I can see more changes coming. My lawyer has advised me that there might be some interesting developments regarding my parents' financial situation, but that's a story for the next update. Update 3, it's been 6 months since this all began, and I'm finally ready to share how everything concluded. This will be my final update on this situation. The house foreclosure went through last week. My parents had to downsize to a small rental apartment, quite a change from their former lifestyle. They tried one last manipulation tactic, having their pastor call me about honoring my father and mother. I simply sent him the documented history of their actions. The next Sunday, they mysteriously switched to a different church. Sophia and Brian's marriage survived, but with significant changes. Brian took a job in another state, a fresh start away from my parents' influence. I heard through mutual friends that Sophia finally got a reality check when her new neighbors didn't care about her former, prestigious lifestyle. She's actually started working again, something she hadn't done since her first child was born. My animation studio has transformed beyond my wildest dreams. We just signed a 3-year, multi-million-dollar deal with a major streaming service for an original series. We're currently a team of 30 talented artists, and we're expanding to a full floor in a downtown high-rise next month. The theme of our new series? Family dynamics and personal growth. Sometimes life writes the best stories. The studio's success has opened doors I never imagined possible. We're now collaborating with international animation studios, and I've been invited to speak at major industry conferences. Last week, a prestigious animation festival nominated our latest short film, the one about breaking free from toxic family relationships, for their top award. Our work culture has become something I'm incredibly proud of. We offer full benefits, flexible hours, and most importantly, a supportive environment where creativity thrives. Several team members have shared how our studio helped them escape their own toxic work situations. We're not just making animations, we're creating a community. The most surprising development? I've found my own kind of family. My core team at the studio has become incredibly close. We celebrate each other's successes, support each other through challenges, and even spend holidays together. My new partner, who I met at an animation convention, understands and supports my dreams without trying to monetize them. Even my rescue dog, a gentle giant named Max, has shown me what unconditional love looks like. He doesn't care about my bank account or social status, just that I'm there for our morning walks and evening cuddles. It's amazing how much healing can come from a wagging tail and loving eyes. Last month, I launched the Creative Freedom Foundation to support artists from unsupportive families. We provide not just financial grants, but also mentorship, therapy resources, and legal advice. The first round of applications included several stories eerily similar to mine. We've already helped 10 young artists start their creative careers despite family opposition. The foundation's work has attracted attention from unexpected places. Several successful artists have reached out to share their own stories of family financial manipulation. We're building a network of mentors and supporters who understand the unique challenges of pursuing creative careers while dealing with family pressure. My parents made one final attempt at reconciliation last week. They sent a carefully worded letter, not exactly apologizing, but suggesting we move past this unfortunate misunderstanding. The old me might have wavered. The new me returned the letter unopened. My therapist called it a significant milestone in my recovery journey. The family home was sold at auction yesterday. I didn't attend, but I heard my parents and Sophia watch from across the street as their carefully laid plans crumbled. The irony? If they'd just been honest and treated me like family instead of an ATM, I would have helped them keep it. Instead, they're starting over in their 60s, learning hard lessons about consequences. My own living situation has evolved beautifully. My high-rise apartment has become a creative sanctuary, filled with art from team members and fellow animators. The view of the city at night reminds me of how far I've come from that scared accountant who was afraid to follow her dreams. Looking back, finding that will was the best thing that could have happened to me. It forced me to see the truth about my family dynamics and gave me the strength to break free. My success isn't despite cutting ties with my family, it's because I finally stopped letting them drain my energy and resources. The most valuable lesson I've learned? Sometimes the hardest choice is the right one. Sometimes walking away isn't giving up, it's choosing yourself. True family isn't about DNA or obligation, it's about mutual respect, support, and genuine love. I won't be posting any more updates about this situation. My story has a new chapter now, one that doesn't involve family drama or manipulation. Instead, it's filled with creative projects, meaningful relationships, and the joy of helping others find their own path to freedom. And you know what? I'm happier than I've ever been. To anyone facing a similar situation, your dreams are valid, your boundaries are important, and your happiness matters. Don't let anyone, family or not, convince you otherwise.